I'm Megan Bennett.
I'm Lesley Meyer.
And this is GenX Women Are Sick of This Shit.
Hi. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Lesley. Why are we whispering?
Because it's dramatic.
Oh.
For dramatic effect. It's very important to be dramatic and to do a lot of face acting at one another.
And yes, deep breaths.
What? I can't believe it.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
You did, though. I
You're
can't
right.
believe you.
You're right, I did. I did mean to. I've always been jealous of you.
I knew it.
What could we possibly be talking about today?
Well, I hope we're talking about one of my favorite, and I'm not even feeling guilty about this, favorite things.
Happy Meals?
No. Not Happy Meal.
Not Happy
Well, it's like a
Meals?
television version of a Happy Meal.
It is a television version of a Happy Meal. There are little snacks for your brain.
Yeah. Or guilty pleasures.
Guilty
Little
pleasures.
Delicious, grease-filled guilty pleasures.
I think we're talking about
Bum, bum, bum.
soap operas. Specifically, soap operas of our childhood.
Oh, yeah. The best kind of soap operas.
The best kind of
because
soap operas.
Are soap operas, I guess they're still a thing.
I mean, they're still on.
Well, the daytime stuff is, but like nighttime soaps, are there, is that like the Rescue 911 and that type of stuff? Would that be a soap opera?
Have not watched
I haven't
network
either.
television in so many years. I couldn't even begin to tell you what is on a channel at nighttime.
I think maybe the like Lost and things like that, like the show Lost was
That
sort
was
of
like
a soap opera.
so long ago. Like,
Yeah.
that was
And then there's some, I don't know that they do the soap operas the way they used to do soap
like
operas.
Dallas.
Oh, Dallas, yes. No, I don't think there's anything. Well,
There are no more captive audiences quite like that.
I don't think so. I think there was a resurgence, like there was a new Dallas not too terribly long ago that I don't think
Whoa.
really took off.
Okay.
And maybe a Dynasty 2,
Okay.
Electric Boogaloo. I don't.
Is there a
not that stuff.
streaming equivalent for a soap opera?
Man, I don't know.
I'm sure there
I mean,
are. Anything. Well, okay. What if it's really more reality TV?
Yeah.
Like some of the
there's a lot
real
reality
Desperate
TV.
Housewives has sort of replaced like the scripted, not scripted.
The Bachelorette, The Bachelor, the Love Island, and all of that. Yeah, probably.
Yes.
That's probably sort of taken the place.
I think
My
so.
mom was I've got so many stories. She was a huge fan of Dallas, and my grandmother too, when she was alive. And I think, that there's nothing really out there that's like that now.
People will tell us if we're wrong.
Oh, I hope they do.
They will, so we don't have to worry about it too much.
Right.
They won't tell us when we're right, but they will definitely tell us when we're wrong.
I sure wish they'd tell us when we're right, too.
You guys, you nailed it, girls.
Girl. So we are today on this particular podcast, we decided we were going to do a short version, a deep dive into one topic.
Yes.
Right? And so these are our
Like
after school
infomercials.
special
Yeah.
type shows.
Yes.
So all nostalgia, just deep dive into a bunch of gooey nostalgia.
Yep. Bite-sized little snacks of history that you may or may not remember.
Yeah. And in your case, it sounds like you were not tuned into the soap opera world. Did you not do any nighttime soaps as a kid?
So the nighttime soaps, I do remember watching Dallas. I remember it being on and the whole Who Shot JR situation. And I do remember Falcon Crest.
Okay.
Because I remember there was a big front door.
Oh, yeah.
Inside somebody's house. Like a big double, like it was a very luxurious entree into their home.
Oh, yeah. It was the Northern California estate.
That was impressive. I remember that. That's about it. And for daytime soaps, yep, there we go. Look at those pictures.
There's Falcon Crest. Yeah.
Yes.
So
I do remember watching that because I think that kind of started. I mean, like, I probably got to watch that sort of like from beginning to end. I don't know what the run years were for Falcon Crest, but it just sort of sticks in my
look at the
mind.
House. So producer Tim pulled up some photos from the interwebs of Falcon Crest.
The World
I remember
Wide Web.
My grandmother loved Falcon Crest, and I think she saw herself in like the lead matron character, you know, like. So yeah, that one was a Northern California, like orchard, right, or vineyard. Was the kind of the setting, I think, of Falcon Crest.
Okay,
so very dramatic, you know, very a little. There she is. Look at
lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Actually, she looks a little bit like my.
It also looks like a Downton Abbey ad. The layout, the character layout, and placement of that. It could also be Downton Abbey.
Now, you mentioned when we first talked about this idea of talking about soap operas, when we said Falcon Crest, you were like, Lorenzo
Lamas. Yep. That's who I remember. Oh, there he is. Look at his hair.
Look at that.
That's quite magnificent. He was the hottie.
I could see that.
He was the marketable.
Still kind of a hottie. I mean, I haven't seen him in
No, I have no idea what he's gone on to do, but something. And then there were also, of course, the original daytime soap operas.
Oh, yeah. Lovin.
And we didn't watch a ton of those. I'm sorry, a picture of
in the show notes,
Lorenzo Lamas,
shirtless with a bandana around his neck,
very hairy chested with some feathered haughty hairdo.
Mm-hmm.
These are magnificent. We will have to share that with the world. But my great grandmother would watch soap operas.
The daytime soaps.
So
did she watch them while she was cleaning, just doing the, regular day-to-day life?
She just had a chair. No, it was a sit. We sat down and watched these together. I was probably 9. I should not have been watching some of these soap operas. But her little TV room was like, it was like the kitchen, the TV room, and then you could go into the rest of the house where like the living room was and all that stuff. And she would sit in there and watch The Young and the Restless.
Oh, okay.
And so I could kind of like sit on a stool next to her while she watched her stories.
I remember my my great aunt and her twin sister were big fans of Days of Our Lives. So it was like, these are the days of our lives.
Is that the sands through the hourglass?
Yes, like sands through the hourglass.
There we go.
Yep, that's right.
I remember that.
Yep. They were, I remember visiting and going over, and boy, if that was on, you just had to just sit there and be quiet for a little while the stories were on.
So daytime soaps were essentially entertainment for stay-at-home mothers.
Yeah.
Women.
Yeah, I think that's right. It was
women who did not work.
Yep. Well, who did not work outside of the house. Yeah,
work outside of the house.
I think that,
they couldn't have that on in the background.
Right. Everything was, all the advertisements that were on TV were there specifically for, the women of the house, the laundry detergent, the palm olive, you're soaking in it, all of those commercials were always there. Oh, Days of Our Lives. Is that the one that had the guy with the eye patch?
The first
daytime
soap opera ever was 1949 in the U.S., I should be clear. And it was called These Are My Children. There were other melodramas that aired in the evening as like weeklies, but soap operas became a fixture of American daytime television in the early 50s.
These Are My Children.
These Are My Children.
That is a terrible name.
It is direct. These are my children. I guess it depends on how you say it.
Was the spinoff then All My Children?
These are my children? These are my children.
These are my children?
So
these are my children.
this is what we have. But for many people, these are serious things.
Oh, still.
So how?
Guilty.
Oh wait, okay. So do tell that. What is the story here? How? What are your early memories of soaps? What is your personal emotional connection?
It's
to
sick.
soap operas?
Well, so my mom and grandmother huge fans of Dallas, huge fans of Knots Landing. Falcon Crest. Knots Landing was the evening one that took place. That was all around a court, like in a neighborhood. That was the neighborhood of Knots Landing, and everybody lived on the
same courtyard.
Yeah, the courtyard area.
Cul-de-sac.
That's right.
There we
Thank
go.
you for finding the word.
Anytime. That's
So
what I'm here for.
so you had Dallas that started in 1978, Knots Landing in 79, Falcon Crest in 81, Dynasty in 81, and then the spinoff of the Colbys. So lots of nighttime shows happening. And I think that little apple didn't fall far from the tree. My mom watched General Hospital when I was very little. And I never stopped. So I think this idea of these whole soap operas, daytime, nighttime, whatever time. So I've been a GH fan for my whole life.
GH. Is that what you all call yourselves?
Yeah, we're
GHers.
Well, no, I don't.
Do you have t-shirts?
Somebody probably does.
Do you have t-shirts?
God, no, but now I want one.
We should make you a t-shirt for General Hospital.
There
have been some pretty famous people on General Hospital.
Yes, ma'am. You've Rick Springfield.
Okay.
He was Dr. Noah Drake.
Yes.
Of
course he was.
And was a big deal. And then he was on there for a number of seasons, but this was
he's so dreamy.
He's super dreamy. Dr. Noah Drake.
I think I remember girls talking about him in middle school.
That would track.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Rick
sure.
Springfield. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Then John Stamos was the young blackie, and I can't remember his last name on the show, but he was a young tough. That blackie.
Was he also a doctor or no?
No.
Okay.
He was kind of a little hot-headed kid that.
Oh, okay. Caused trouble.
Yeah, didn't really have a family. Was sort of
just wandering.
Yeah.
On the streets like an urchin.
Well, I think the doctor, the people tried to bring him underneath their wing,
They tried to save him. Mm-hmm, did he have a love interest? I'm sure he did.
I don't know that he was on that long.
Oh, okay.
To be...
Okay. Troublemakers always had a love interest.
Oh yeah, he was the quintessential bad boy.
Okay.
So so
who else came
he was
out
on there.
there?
I realized in looking back at old episodes in preparation for talking about this that that also Demi Moore was on General Hospital as well. And it was funny because I was watching it on YouTube and heard her voice, and then I was like, oh my god, wait, that's Demi Moore. So I had forgotten that she was on there as well. So
that her hair
there was
a whole
lot
situation.
Of hair. Mm-hmm.
Wait, is that Luke?
That's Luke. So
were they having a tryst, Demi Moore's character, or were they just airplane buddies?
Well, I think so. Luke and Laura, obviously the big couple.
Okay,
but Luke was kind of a dirty dog on the show. He was not. Yeah. There's a lot of if you look back at General Hospital in our eyes today, you would go, that you can't do some of the things that they do.
I hear it. Okay. Blackie Parrish.
Oh, Blackie
I just
Parrish.
found his
That's
name.
Right. Thank you.
And then I learned that Mark Hamill was also on General Hospital at one point.
I believe
it.
Yeah,
so
I believe it.
There we go.
Well, then you also
had
pops up Jack Wagner, and Jack Wagner was Frisco Jones on General Hospital, who then later, after spending time on General Hospital, landed somehow magically as a doctor on Melrose Place as the character Dr. Peter Burns.
Oh,
which is the funniest fucking name of a person ever. Like
Dr. Peter Burns.
Peter Burns. You really need to have that looked at, Peter.
I'm sorry, Peter. Buddy. Wait, is that Mark Hamill?
Have that looked at. That is Mark Hamill. Check him out.
He was a child.
He was very young.
That had to be before Star Wars.
I honestly don't remember him being on General Hospital.
Why would we?
That's cool.
Fantastic.
There's Frisco.
Okay.
Yeah. So Felicia, his wife, Frisco's wife, fake wife, not real wife.
I understand. Yes,
yeah.
on the television.
On
show.
the lines blur.
Well, it's real. It's real.
It's real to me. So she's still on. She's still a regular character on General Hospital now.
So these are the things that blow me away. Like, these shows have been on for decades. Some of them. Yeah. And the storylines are the same. Like, it's the same families. It's the same.
In a lot of cases, it's the same families.
Okay.
There will be new families that pop up here and there, and new characters that pop up. And of course, you know, somebody who's been dead for 15 years can always show back up through the magic of television.
Because they're not really dead frequently.
Right. Yeah.
How can you trust dead people anymore?
You can't. They don't stay dead.
They just come back time and time again. I understand. Mm-hmm. I mean, why not? You can do anything you want. It's television. And the filming schedules are relentless. Yes. I mean, these guys are working pretty much every day. And I know COVID did all kinds of weird things to the schedule. Okay.
It was also pretty interesting during COVID when you saw the episodes that were recorded during COVID. Making out on a soap opera is a big deal. There's a lot of that.
Oh.
And there was none of that.
Way less making out.
Yeah. You would see like they would cut in places where you thought they were going to have like, oh, these two were going at it. Oh, no.
They were just making eyes.
We have to use our imagination because we couldn't.
Behind the veil, then it's all going to go to blackout.
That's right.
That's right. They suddenly got 1,000 times cleaner and safer for small children to watch.
Mouth kissing during COVID.
So what do you think makes a soap opera so engaging? Like, what are the qualities that keep you coming back, Megan Bennett?
Oh, God, help me. Well, at this point, it's probably a sick habit.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I think there's this escapism.
Okay.
And that's true with most television.
Absolutely.
Too, right?
Yes.
Like, you're like, my life is pretty boring, but, Sonny Corinthos has got like a pretty wild life, and I'm going to watch what's going on.
Okay.
And then you just get invested, I think, in the characters over time.
You got to know what happens next.
Yep.
I understand. I remember. So I have to confess, I do not remember the last episode of Dallas or who shot JR. Was there a conclusion? Was it his wife? Was it his brother?
It was his
secretary?
No, it was the blonde girl. Oh God, if my mom were here, she'd be able.
She would know.
Well, first of all, she'd smack me in the head and go, "How did you not know this?"
So when did that episode actually air? This is a random transition.
It was 1980, I think, was the whole Who Shot JR drama. I think. And then, the whole world was wondering.
Okay.
Did you pull up
the Whodunit episode aired November 21st, 1980. The person who pulled the trigger was revealed to be Kristen Shepherd, played by Mary Crosby.
Yep. So she's the short little blonde standing next to
not the child
Bobby right there. Yeah.
Oh, it was the child.
Yeah. Well,
she's not a child. She's an adult. She's just very short.
She's very short.
And she was JR's scheming sister-in-law.
There you go. Sister-in-law.
And mistress. Well, that's what you get.
I mean, you get shot. Apparently.
For having a mistress.
Yeah. It was a big deal.
That's crazy. Okay, so then was that the last episode of that series?
Oh, heck no. No, because Dallas went on until 1991.
Oh.
So that was just like probably the biggest storyline that people remember. But
okay.
Oh, no, it lasted way
after that. I have no memory of it existing anymore. But I was however old I was. I was 7 when that came out. So I guess it would make sense that I don't really remember.
Well, I know that it lasted longer because when I went to college, here's my funny story. My mom, I'm sorry, Mom, I have to tell on you. I was going out on a Friday night with some friends, and we were in a car, and I was in the middle of the back seat of the car, and the gal who was driving actually turned left on red, and we got sideswiped. We got like T-boned by a truck. And I ended up in the hospital. And
Great.
I lived only like 45 minutes or so away from my school was really only 45 minutes away from home.
Okay.
And a guy that was in the car with me actually called my mom to let her know, hey, Megan's in the hospital.
Of course.
And my mom says to him, is it serious enough that I should miss Dallas?
What is the scale?
I don't know the scale. I did have a broken pelvic bone, but apparently she did come up. She did miss Dallas. She came up.
Okay, and, so broken pelvis.
Everything's fine. Yes,
was important enough to miss Dallas for.
Right. But could there be something more Gen X when your mom is like, is it bad enough to miss Dallas?
Is it bad enough to miss Dallas? Mm-hmm. Does she just have a minor concussion or like a scrape?
Right. Like, did she stub her toe? What are we talking about here?
Is it just like her little finger?
Right. Is on the Miss Dallas scale? Right. Where are we?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, pelvis was definitely on, but we don't really know the true threshold.
We don't.
Like pelvis and a butt. Like,
I feel like I should
if
ask
you
her.
have I don't know.
What would have taken Mom?
If your brains were coming out your ears.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny because that, like, can you imagine making that phone call to call somebody's parents and then them saying
that's the thing they push back. Megan, your mom just asked if she should miss Dallas.
Do you have a good relationship with your mom? Did I get the wrong phone number?
She likes you, right? like she knows you're here in college, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is epic.
Telling you, soap opera's big damn deal.
So I remember I confess, did not watch a ton other than with my great grandmother when I would visit. Like I would be there for like a week in the summer or Christmas time or whatever. And they
that
were always on.
That wasn't enough to get you sucked in.
11 o'clock. But it just didn't translate because at home, unless it was summertime, I would have been in school. So would not have watched. And then in the summer, we were mostly like outside. I mean, I think my mom was like, go out there and
just get out of the house. Yeah.
So not a lot of daytime TV watching. Like my after school TV would have been like 3-2-1 Contact and Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
So that was sort of like the 2:30, 3:30.
Right.
And then the evening, the TV, I don't know if I think it's nighttime drama, but I don't know. It was just sort of, I don't know what it would qualify as. What captured my imagination was watching The Love Boat, because water is awesome. And, oh my gosh, Fantasy Island.
So
producer Tim
he just pulled up a fantastic one that we need to mention, and that is the show Forever Night.
Man,
oh my God.
I love that show.
Freaking loved that show too.
Mm-hmm. It's the bittersweet. Like it was probably one of the most depressing summers of my life when I watched the show. I was staying at my grandmother's house. She was out of the country for a while, for like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And I was staying at her house, like cat sitting or something. I think I was fully in college. When did this show come out? Forever Night. This is like a different decade. We can't.
There was Forever Night, but then wasn't there?
Oh, that's in the 90s. Okay. Yeah, 92.
What was the one with the, oh crap. She was in one of the soap operas, and she was like married to the guy with the eye patch. Anyway, she went on to be in another, like a nighttime soap with a guy who looked like Beast from Beauty and the Beast, or he looked like a lion.
Yes.
What the hell show was that?
Exactly what you're talking about. I loved that show.
Producer Tim is looking at me like I've grown a second head, but he looked like a lion, right?
Yes. Yes. And it was evening. I can see her. She had very long brown hair.
I thought
it would kind of go back and forth between the past and
it was not Beauty and the Beast.
Modern day. Yes. That's it.
It is Beauty and the Beast.
Yep. Long brown hair. There she is. What is her name? She's super famous.
Yeah, because she was...
Ron Perlman played the Beast in that show.
Really?
And who is the actress? Man. Where is her name? I think you just went past it. Yep. Wow. There's Ron Perlman. Linda Hamilton. Holy Jesus.
Linda Hamilton. There we go. That's right.
Loved her.
Yeah, she was in
amazing.
One of the soaps with the guy with the eye patch. and then, before she saved the world from Terminator.
Absolutely. Hell yes.
And then also Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. And so that
lion guy
when
who lived
did
in the
that
sewers.
come out? Was this also a 90s? The Beauty and the Beast thing?
Is that 87?
Late 80s.
Yeah. Okay. So late 80s.
So I think there's a distinct change between like 70s and 80s and then tipping over into the 90s. Because 90s would have been like Forever Night, Melrose Place, 90210. Like TV just got different.
It did get different.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
So these are two different.
Knots Landing goes off the air in 93. And then you get beautiful stuff like, Beauty and the Beast.
So I wonder what changed, why audiences were sort of like tired of the... I don't know, family like drama cycles
thing. I don't know. That's interesting. And like, why now did we add this air of mysticism and like vampires and?
I mean, so I guess those were probably geared towards us. We were the late old teens, early 20s,
right? Yeah,
I guess. So.
I feel like this was totally geared towards me.
It had to be. I remember watching that show, and then of course Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out.
Right. And there was always, I think, not always, but in the daytime TV drama, there were a couple of other soap operas that were a little more out there, that were a little not super traditional, like Passions was one of them.
You were reminding me of that. I don't remember. We watched a little clip of it.
Yeah, metaphysical weirdness happened. Like they had fairies and I think angels
floating around, like spirits coming. Look at that. I mean, I wonder how long that one was on.
I never watched Passions.
I wonder if there are any diehard Passions fans in the group.
Oh my God, I hope so. If anybody is a diehard Passions fan, I want to know about it. But I think, clearly they were around. It was around for a while, so I suspect that they had a pretty large following.
I was on for a minute. 1999 to 2008.
Yeah. So it's definitely that older window of soap operas.
Check that out.
Which tracks now, right? If you have your regular daytime dramas, and then a little bit later you've got things like Beauty and the Beast, and you've got things like Forever Night, and then you've got Passions. Now you've tried to merge
whatever
all of that,
happened in the 90s. How are we going to get these young kids sucked into soap operas? We're going to add fairies and witches.
Because they do not care about Luke and Laura. They just don't.
No,
we need
because
to get this
those were our parents. They were into
young
that
kids
stuff.
on stuff.
We less cared about romance.
Less cared about it.
We less cared about it. That's magnificent. I can say that. Well, and I wonder too if there was just like a transition, if there were more people working outside of the home as we moved into the 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
And you could DVD these now, like at that point. So
Mm-hmm.
if you missed your Passions, you could
rent them.
You could just like DVR it and watch it later.
So Passions had its own sort of like cult following. No pun intended.
I mean, it was all about
the
cult things,
probably
right?
A little culty.
The occult.
The occult and romance, which sure, why not? Put those two together.
I mean, then you got something.
then you do have something.
Well,
indeed.
Okay, so passions. You've got they've got like witches and dwarves and fairies and angels and
yes,
like possessions by demons and all.
There was
things.
A crossover with Guiding Light, I think. Is that true?
I bet that threw people for a loop.
Was a crossover where somebody, I was looking, I'm lost now.
Somebody's great aunt.
Oh no,
Tilda's.
Days of Our Lives.
Oh, even wackier.
Dr. Marlena Evans was possessed by Satan.
Nice.
So
and did the people from Passions show up to
I think maybe she was over on Passions. Like there was a crossover of her character into Passions.
Clearly, if you went to that town, you were in trouble.
Yep. You should not probably visit
that town.
Yes.
I think did it take place in Salem?
That is a
maybe
great
something
question.
Like took place in Salem. Maybe I'm making that up.
Well, I think that makes you an expert, not an expert. I think it sounds really smart, even if it is not actually
I don't know for a fact.
Factual. It was in Harmony, New England.
Well, so New England, so it probably right down the street. Maybe they would have gotten in trouble from the Chamber of Commerce for Salem if they
couldn't do that. There. It follows the lives, loves, and various romantic and paranormal adventures of the residents of Harmony.
That was so... Oh my God, look at that picture, Lesley.
I really need many more paranormal adventures in my own day-to-day lived experience.
I feel like now if I watch this show, like me where I am now in my life would probably have...
We should
really,
watch this.
Really appreciated this show.
It's so amazing, I'm sure. The camp has got to be just... massive. Check her out.
It's so fantastic. I truly wish I would have watched this because I get it now, at 50 years old.
Yes.
I think this
something,
is like
50-something.
hilarious.
Well, so maybe
young
what we're saying is not way off because there is this whole genre of literature now, like romantasy, which crosses over into kind of like Gen X women's romance literature. Not all of it is like romantasy, fantasy, but it is high drama. I don't know if the women were the center stage in this show or not because I did not watch it, so I cannot speak to that. But women are kind of the heroes of these current books. There's lots of romance and hot sex and empowerment. And so I'm just, maybe this is like contemporary passions. I don't know.
Dipping our toes in this whole...
We just get bored. We're like, there's got to be way more... Wait, what is it? Paranormal. There must be more paranormal adventure in my life.
Yeah.
If I can't get it in real life, I'm going to get it in my paranormal life.
My fantasy of...
Absolutely.
Demonic possession.
Yes.
Hot demons.
Hot demons.
Right.
They have to be sexy.
Ugly demon.
No, that would be terrible.
Okay, so we also had... So you've got passions.
Indeed.
Then you had, if you wanted to get even darker...
Yes.
You had Dark Shadows.
Yes. I never watched this. Tell me about this.
I didn't watch it either. I feel like this is another instance where I missed out as a kid, and maybe I didn't miss out, but maybe just being a touch too young for understanding Barnabas and the whole, dark shadowiness of everything. But there was a movie that was made not too terribly long ago. I think John.
Yes. Ugh. Yeah, I believe you.
I lost my words again.
That's okay. There was a film reboot directed by Tim Burton in 2012.
Right. Yes.
There we go. Wikipedia is our official resource of research. This we don't go deeper than the wiki right now when we're on the fly.
100% factual.
Original Dark Shadows was an American Gothic soap opera that aired from 1966 to 1971. So, of course, this was 2 years before my existence on this planet.
Right. And I didn't get it. I know there was in college there were people who were watching like old reruns of Dark Shadows.
That's amazing.
Just because you get a little gothy,
You gotta get a gothy.
Get a little gothy and enjoy your dark vampire melodrama.
Dark Shadows developed a large teenage audience and a dedicated cult following. By 1969, it had become ABC's highest-rated daytime series.
Pretty cool.
So it was not even geared towards
all
adults,
about
which
vampires.
is epic and awesome.
So you've got, this, of course, with the vampires, then kind of on the same timeline as Anne Rice doing her vampire
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
too. So
absolutely.
Kind of the birth of vampires.
Well, this is,
at least
we're tipping toes into probably what will be a whole other
we
podcast.
Are going to talk vampires.
About
absolutely.
vampires, vampire literature, vampire games.
It's just fun that this is a soap opera that is all
It kind of
vampires.
walks that line.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And it's the predecessor to things like Things We Do in the Shadows and stuff like that, which is amazing and funny. So thinking about all of all of these soap operas,
mm-hmm.
We were talking just briefly too about this idea that the reason that people watch them in a lot of cases were these, women who were living, working out of their house, maybe as, the mom raising the kids, cooking the meals,
Home
doing
manager,
the laundry, all the things,
cleaning.
right? And this was their escapism as they were folding, little Timmy's clothes before he got home.
5,475.
Right.
Mind-numbing, repetitive domestic chores.
Right. And then I think in order to think about things like Mr. Mom, the movie, and how,
Fabulous
Michael
movie.
Keaton gets totally sucked in on
Absolutely.
all of the soap operas, and you get to see it from the man's perspective.
Right. And he gets how important it all is.
Right.
I mean, these are major sources of conversation and investment.
Yep.
Because when you are folding towel 5,599.
Yep. And trying to get the whoopee out of the vacuum cleaner, then you got to sit down and watch your
Mr.
soap
Mom.
operas.
So, crossover that you never knew that you needed. The little boy in Mr. Mom,
Okay.
Tallis and Jaffe,
I love that you know that.
is the star of one of our favorite live play role-playing games.
Really?
On Critical Role.
Okay.
He is a fantastic human being. He's a beautiful role player. And he was the little boy with the whoopee on Mr. Mom.
I love that.
It's all connected.
Everything's connected.
It is.
It's true.
So,
And somehow we'll always get back to gaming.
we will always get back to gaming. The whole other conversation where we will talk about
That we do talk
women
about.
in gaming and games of the 60s, 70s, and 80s and all that stuff. This is great. So there's a little bit of bubblegum.
Love it. Yep.
Some bubblegum for your ears.
And if you're a soap opera fan and you are a GH person, I would love to chit chat with you about all of the new things happening in the beloved town of Port Charles, New York.
You have been listening to GenX Women Are Sick of This Shit. Hey, Megan.
Hey, Leslie.
What do people do if they want to find us?
Well, we have a website that people can find us on, and that is genxwomenpod.com. We also have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram account as well. Mm-hmm. We have a YouTube account where we put YouTube shorts and other little tidbits up there. We have a TikTok account.
I don't talk the tick or tick the talk.
You don't tick the talk?
I do not.
I barely talk the tick, but I did put a TikTok up.
We're explaining the internet to people again.
That's
okay, though.
It's great.
We need to know how the internet works. Can people buy merch?
They absolutely can. We have a merch store on the website itself, and we also have an Etsy store, too. So they're just pretty easy to find. It's just GenX Women on Etsy.
And if you are listening to this podcast, presumably you found it somewhere. And while you're there, give us a review.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Throw some stars at us.
That'd be great. We'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Ooh, 5.
Maybe 10.
And also make sure that you are hitting subscribe so that you're notified whenever a new episode drops.
Most important.
We also have a 5 minutes of fame that I think we should tell people about, too.
Hell yes. We want to know your stories, your 5 minutes of fame stories. You can send those stories in on the website, or you can call 1-888-GenXpod and leave your story for us, and we will play it live in our next episode. Or
Yep.
2 or 3.
We'll listen to it on a little red phone, just like Batman.
That'd be cool. Let's get a bat phone.
Bat phone.
I think that's it.
I think you're right.